All right, good Tuesday afternoon to everyone. This is your fantasy football update for week 1, and I'm your commissioner, Andrew Warmer. Now let's get started this week here in the OB1 division. Started out with a good match between Joe Carroll and David Rent and Russell Blocker. Now, before I say anything, I just have to give my heart out to David and Russell. Last year, they lost Adrian Peterson the whole year with a suspension for beating his son. Hopefully, you got the pun. Um, and this year, they lose Des Bryant for what could be 8 to 12 weeks. I mean, the fantasy football gods just have not been in your favor the last couple of years. My heart's out for you guys. Hopefully, you can overcome that injury and still have a good season. Congrats to Joe, though. You gronked your way to a win in week 1. I personally know what that's like. I gronked my way to a championship last season. That's why I'm sitting here. All right, and we move on to Bill and Christy, two really good teams this week 1, both scoring over 100 points. Unfortunately, somebody had to lose, and that was Christy. Christy, I would give you the Getting Cute award. In the last second, you put out Witten, then you put out Witten, and you put in Bolden. And I actually thought that was a great move because Bill was playing the Minnesota defense. All Bolden had to do was score a touchdown, and you win. I see the logic, but you flipped the coin, and you lost. And congrats to Bill on that win. Snagged it late with Sam Bradford on Monday night. We'll move on to the Yoda division. The Yoda division had a matchup between Dell and Dan. Dell, you played Julio Jones on Monday night, and that usually means a lot of fantasy points. And for you, that was correct last night. Big day for him, big day for your team. Dan, on the other hand, you might need to reassess that quarterback situation. I think Peyton Manning's working on 50, 52. How old is he? I can't remember how old he is. But that wounded duck just was not making its way to the receivers like it normally does. You might need to reassess that, Dan, and being a division rival of yours, I hope you stick with them all year. Oh, and moving to the other game in the division, I played Carey this week. Carey, I do feel a little bit sorry for you. Deshaun Jackson got hurt in the second quarter with a hamstring. He'll be out for four weeks or so. But Zeus, Travis Kelce, for me, had 2 touchdowns in the first half, and that one was over pretty quickly. Better luck to your team next week. But I pulled out that victory this week. In the Skywalker division, we had a matchup between Steve Keener and Phil Dodson. Despite Phil's, I thought it was a really good trade to get a quarterback. You got Roethlisberger in there. You can't depend on your defense to get you 20 points a week, Phil. We already talked about this. You got to have other players. And Steve took advantage of that today. He's got Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's a beast. DeAndre Hopkins had a great day. But I want to say, Steve, last year you had 4 matchups that you won by less than 5 points. You're back on the trend this year. A win's a win. You know how to get it done. Congratulations. And then lastly, we had Russell Kemp and David Ford. David Ford, Jekyll and Hyde did to the win last night. I think he had 170 yards and 2 touchdowns, running all over the field against Minnesota. And Russell, Aaron Rodgers is a beast, no doubt. But you got to have a little more wide receiver help. They didn't show up for you much this week, and David took advantage. So that is your update for week 1. 2 things I want to address. Kicking points. We've gone back to default settings for kicking and defenses. So if your kicker misses a field goal, you would get -1 points. That's different from last year where nothing happened. I saw this because Christy, I think you had a kicker that had -1 points. Normally that would never happen anyway because at least they get an extra point, right? And that would kind of even it out. But just so everyone's aware, that's the way it's set this week or this year, along with defenses. So go in there, make sure you know the rules, make sure you know the points. And we need one more person to vote for how we're divvying up the money this year. It's 11 people have voted. There's 12 in our league. I voted, waiting on somebody. But basically, whoever it is going to be able to decide what we want because it's all tied up. Also, waiver wire this week. I want to throw a shout out to a couple of owners. Steve Keener, very good job drafting Dante Moncrief. He would be the number one waiver wire pickup this week. And don't look for James Jones either because, yeah, good luck in week 2.